Hi, my name is John, and here we explore new ways of being with an open heart.
Okay, so attention. Attention. That is the next level of breakdown, right? Okay, we all, like, I don't know about you guys, but I did not get enough attention as a kid. In fact, I grew up with the words, oh, they're just looking for attention. Oh, why are they just looking for attention? Blah, blah. It had such a negative connotation. And like nobody ever had capacity or time or the ability to provide people with attention because fuck knows why. Okay, that's not the point of this right now. So now, right, navigating life as humans who did not receive the attention they needed as babies and kids, okay, is uh is quite intimidating at the start. Okay, so here is what I learned to help myself navigate and grow and build a sense of self-esteem, self-worth, respect, because I wasn't shown how to do that as a kid. So yay, reparenting. Woo, let's go. Okay, so as babies, we're born, right? We go from the womb out, right? We get born, is what we call it. So what also happens and what they don't tell you is we die. We die and we're born. Okay, so we die in terms of everything we knew as the truth disappears, which was the womb, right? That was our world. That was our entire world. Our world just died when we were born. Okay, so what does that sound like? Fucking huge amount of tension. Not to mention the literal tension that we have to pass through, that is the vagina. Okay, unless we're born with a C-section, but still, we're going from a very small space to a very big space. Tension to no tension, or sometimes from a little bit of space to fucking tension tunnel to a lot of space. Okay, at tension, right? Tension. And at those points of tension, at the most extreme point of contrast, right? We need attention. We need someone to meet us at that tension, to show us and remind us and to ground us that things will be okay. We need a compass, which is meant to be our family, okay, or our parents, right? They're here to meet us at that tension, at that breaking point, which is often, called crying. One of the major ways to relieve that tension is crying. But now, great, now we're crying, right? Brilliant. That is our signal to tell others around us that we are at tension. We are at that breaking point. We need a guardian to take us from what was to what can be. Okay? We need those examples, which is what attention is. Okay. Now, another way of seeing this is we get met where we are. Okay. At tension. So we get shown space, a container, right? Which the parent usually holds. Now, this we can often see as the mother holding the baby or us in her arms. And what happens? Two major needs get met, or we get shown how they get met now. Previously, it was an umbilical cord, and I don't know enough about what happens inside, but it was different. So now we get shown how we get fed and how we get comfort, right? Major needs and intimacy. How we get seen now, how we get met now. So, okay. Now our being knows that we get fed through breast milk, um, or a tube in my case. Yeah. And we get nurturing, meaning a safe, warm space where we get to ground. Okay, so we get nurtured through the food, the warmth, and the intimacy of cuddles. Okay, and the heartbeat is important because the heartbeat, the mother's heartbeat is, like it's familiar. It's familiar. You grew up with that beat, that's your rhythm. It's realigning you with a sense of safety, calm, and rebalancing your tension, right? Add tension to release. Okay. Oh my God, I can go on about releasing. Okay, let's just quickly do releasing. So what's happening? So the tension you had breaks, right? Because you now have new information. Okay. Here's a new path towards getting your needs met. Right. Great. Now you have all that tension. It's being released. What does that mean? Released. So you are relieving that tension of where's my food? Where's nurturing? That's going and it's being released, like signing a new lease. You're signing a new lease. So you're letting go the old lease of the womb, the world you knew before, and you're signing a new lease, releasing and releasing into your mother's arms or into the dynamic of your family, the world. It's not very big at this moment. It's just your mother, sometimes the father. But, fuck, that's important. Okay. So that's what releasing is in its core. There's many other aspects, but it's important to understand that dynamic. Okay, great. Now you've released and you've received new, nurturing, nourishing, needs met. Yay. Whoa. You've been met at tension and it broke and you became released of that tension and now you are receiving. Great. Brilliant. Exactly what you wanted. And that cycle never becomes the norm. Something else happens, right? Okay, so in my case, I was born with so many defects, right? I needed intensive care. Okay. I wasn't allowed to be touched for like the first 3 weeks to 3 months of my life. I was told I'm not going to live beyond 3 days. Okay, I'm telling you this because when that tension is too much, okay, something breaks. If it's not released, it breaks. And what breaks, you ask? Your connection with safety, your connection with belonging. All of that fractures. So you often come into the world believing that you don't belong, that you weren't meant to be here. Misunderstood, unmet. And these form in a very short amount of time. Okay, so a bunch of us has experienced that in our life, right? And life has just been difficult because how are we supposed to remember what happened as a freaking kid, as a baby? Most of us don't remember. Because what does the brain do to protect? It suppress, repress, depress, instead of expressing. Like, understanding and having compassion for this, that not every one of us can just do something, or every one of us can just frolic into the unknown and into the world in a way that's sustainable. Some of us really need to reparent ourselves. Some of us, and I'm going to tell you now, it's more than I think many of us want to believe, to reconnect with ourselves. Okay. Right. We need to learn how to pay attention to ourselves, to our breaking points, what they are. Okay. Because we've not been met often at our points of breaking, tension points. We do not know how to move through tension. Okay. Or what comes after tension, or what could come after tension. What we know comes after tension is breaking, shattering, starting over. Okay. We don't know how to take tension, give an act before it, at attention, like, whoo, you're right here with you, not a fucking army person. Like, at attention mean, oh, we're gonna catch this wave, which feels great. Okay, how do we turn that into taking us where we want to go? Okay, we don't know how to surf the wave of tension into joy. But the reason why things can be really daunting and feel impossible or overwhelming or underwhelming in some cases is because we do not have a process to sit with our feelings, to sit with the true energy of ourselves, okay, as a whole being. So when we slowly learn the process of reparenting, okay, which is reparenting is where you relink yourself to a new source of movement, okay, new source of energy, okay. That's what reparenting is. It's nothing much to do with who your parents are, your guardians are. It's the ability to reparent yourself to a new source of energy, okay? So, like the mother took you from the umbilical cord to the bib or the feeding tube or whatever it was, not the point. Reparenting you from one source to another source, okay? That's what reparenting is. You need to be met at that tension point. These are all things that I had to learn for myself and discover and explore. It was so much fun once I realized that the source is me and that whatever. Okay. So reparent goes hand in hand with the release, right? Which we talked about earlier, where you release what was working before into what works now. Okay. That's the whole cycle we're learning at tension. At tension is like the fucking peak. Okay. Of where you're gonna break, which is important. You have to break. Have to break because it breaks the connection with what worked in the past and allows you to rebuild the connection to the new source, right? Okay. You have to be able to hold space for it. Just like the mother can hold space for the baby.
Okay, phew. That was a lot, but that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening and sharing this space and time with me. I really look forward to doing this again and discovering more and more new ways of living that just feel alive. That just feels connected and expansive in a warm, grounding way. I love you and thank you so much.